taking a live look at OTA number 4 here on the field outside the Miller Electric Center in Jacksonville. We'll be checking in throughout the day as organized team activities get started. We're going to do our own version of OTAs here on Jags AM. I'm Kainani Stevens. Brian Sexton and John Oehser are with me. Let's start out with the O in OTAs. Offense is what we're going to be talking about. We've discussed the offense all off season and how important it is for them to come out to a strong start. Head coach Doug Peterson talked this morning about the importance of Trevor Lawrence becoming more of a leader.
It's kind of all of it. Decision making, balls coming out of his hand faster, quicker decisions, all that part of it. Accuracy, the timing, things of that nature. And again, just the dialogue we're having out there as maybe CJ and Mac are taking their rep. He's back there talking to myself or press, Mike, and just always engaging, and that's what you want to see out of a young quarterback.
John, that was your question to Doug. We talked about, Trevor making that jump last year. This year, Doug talks about him being a more vocal leader. What did you make of Doug Peterson's answer and what he's seen from Trevor so far in OTAs?
Well, I think the biggest thing was, he talked about what every NFL coach and most NFL quarterbacks learn, then that fans don't really want to hear, in that it's not an overnight process, this thing. It takes 3 or 4 years, and you can want the quarterback to develop into that guy, into that all-seeing, all-knowing, coach in the field guy. You want it to happen year 1. You want it to happen year 2. You can take steps toward it, but it's hard to get there without the time on task. Everything that Press Taylor and Doug Peterson were talking about this morning, Brian, sounded like they are seeing what they want to see out of Trevor and that you'll see more growth. Again, I don't think it's going to be he was here and now he's here, but I think over time you're seeing growth and they like what they're seeing.
So let me play devil's advocate and just ask you this, because I know you get this question all the time in your email inbox. How does C.J. Stroud come in and light it up his first year and look like he owns the NFL? And how does a guy like Pat Mahomes not really need any startup time and step right in and go? Why be patient when there are quarterbacks who are out there achieving?
Well, I think those guys are going to get better. Meaning Mahomes was at a high level when he came in, at a higher level now. As much as Jaguars fans don't want to hear it, Stroud may have been at one level last year, and he's going to get better at those things we're talking about. Trevor's led 2 teams to winning records. He hasn't been bad.
Right.
I think they see more coming.
And I do think it's important to remember that everyone's different, right? This quarterback has a different way of playing the game than C.J. Stroud and Pat Mahomes, and the Jaguars have to work with him to get him to the highest level of performance, and the offensive line's a big part of that, getting him in a position where he is comfortable standing back there to throw the ball down the field. So I get it. I just know that's an argument I get all the time is, well, why are some guys successful immediately and why do some guys need more time? I think you can apply that, Kai, in almost any application of life.
I think that's fair to say. We're all just looking for a better version of Trevor this season. And from all intents and purposes, we've seen that so far. Doug seems to think we'll see a lot of that progress as well. Our second big thing today is going to be the T in our OTAs, which is teaching. We talked a lot about the new defensive coordinator coming in and teaching his new scheme, but we also have to talk about the new players and how the coaching staff needs to adjust their teaching to those players.
You see that show up from the way he handles himself in the huddle to also the meeting room. And that's one of the things where he's not afraid to speak up and ask a question, where some young guys that are new to a system are, they're probably going to wait till the meeting ends, go grab a coach on the side. Hey, you said this. What do you mean by that? Mitch will stop a meeting, make sure he's on the same page of what the coach is expecting, because sometimes you go quickly through these things because you look around, there's a lot of familiar faces in a room. Guys have heard this. Or guys know, okay, he's talking about 2022, week 3, this happened, blah, blah, blah. We kind of gloss over some things where Mitch will, hey, what do you mean by this? We'll pull up a clip, we'll all watch it together, make sure we're all speaking the same language.
Mitch Morse is one of those new players, expected to be the starter at center this year. Of course, he's a veteran of the league coming from the Buffalo Bills. Brian, how much of this is, getting everybody on the same page? We talk about this time of year, getting the offensive line all on that one heartbeat rhythm, if you want to put it that way. But teaching those new guys and incorporating maybe things he has from his old team he can bring here as well.
Well, it's about streamlining the entire program. How you teach it, what you're teaching, the verbiage you use. When you listen to Press Taylor, and last week when we heard Ryan Nielsen, these guys are excellent communicators, which means that they don't leave any gray area for their players to wonder about. It's about guys being able to play fast because they know what's expected of them on any given play. So the teaching part of it is really important. And I'll just speak to the defensive side because last week I was so impressed with the clarity with which Ryan Nielsen spoke. Now, I mean, they did talk about putting guys in different positions and seeing what they've got before they get to camp and ask guys to do very specific things. But it's pretty clear that the communication side of this thing is very important, especially at center with Mitch Morse.
Yeah, I think it was Doug who talked about this morning. It may have been press. The communication with Mitch Morse and him going back over questions. Hey, I want to see this. I want to make sure about this. It was Doug who was talking about it. It showed me exactly what everybody sort of knows about OTAs. This is about that sort of communication. It's about making sure these offensive linemen know what they need to do during training camp. In terms of finding out how they're going to mesh together, we'll find that out when the pads go on. It's all about communication right now.
It's always about communication, of course, staying healthy, especially on the offensive line. Our final big thing for our version of OTAs is going to be athleticism. That's something we've heard from the GM, we've heard that from the coach, and of course we've heard that from the players themselves, wanting to improve from year to year. Of course, we've seen a ton of athleticism out of the rookie Brian Thomas Jr. But Brian, when you're looking at maybe some players that have been on this team, we'll talk about players we expect to make the jump, but otherwise just athleticism. What are you hoping to see from the team this year?
Well, we talked about bigger, stronger, faster for most of the offseason after Trent made those comments in late January. You're watching Brian Thomas right there. I mean, this is a game of size and speed, and you're hopeful that you are bigger and you are faster at key positions. Wide receiver is one of them. I'm not sure that they got bigger, although they got faster at cornerback with the speed that they were able to add. This is a game of speed. Andy Reid said that right after the draft when they talked about why they took Xavier Worthy in Kansas City in the draft. He said, hey, look, we knew we needed different positions, but this game is about speed. John, that's the way this game has evolved in recent years, and I think the thing I'm looking for is to see guys who are faster.
Yeah, they look faster. I mean, Brian Thomas is fast. I think we can trust that Gabe Davis will be fast. I think the thing with Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas, when you watch him, just like you watched him on that clip there, he and the coaches talked about it today. He makes everything look easy. It seems like football comes easy to him. He does things naturally. That's all you can tell from a guy right now. There's time to see how he does with the ball in the air, with defenders on him, in game situations. So far, he looks like a first-round draft pick. People watching this, when they see him move, that's what they want to see. I think people will be pleased with what they see from Brian Thomas as the first-round draft pick.
And since we were talking about communication just a moment ago, it's important to point out that Press Taylor said that this is a guy who's very easy to communicate with. He's got a high football IQ. The game itself just comes naturally to him. So in terms of making it clear and he's a rookie receiver, what his role is on any specific play in any specific situation, to let him play that fast, Press seems to believe that his communication level and his IQ will go a long way towards his success as a rookie.
Always a learning curve, but we're hopeful he'll be able to pick up the offense pretty quickly, especially with OTAs and training camp around the corner. Stay with us here on Jags AM. We'll have more live looks at OTA number 4, and we'll talk about players we expect to make a big jump this season.
I'm John Davis, Secretary of the Florida Lottery, and I'm proud to lead an agency that is creating brighter futures for Florida students, families, and communities. As the primary funding source of the Bright Future Scholarship Program, the lottery has helped nearly 1 million students reach their dream of a post-secondary education. And we will continue to do our part to ensure that every student across this state is aware of these opportunities and has the resources needed to succeed. Because together, we can build a brighter future for all.
Ancient City Brewing is celebrating 30 years of Jags football by becoming the proud craft beer partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And what better way to celebrate a throwback year than to throw back some of our expertly crafted beers? From Augustine's Orange Amber Ale to our Castillo Coconut Porter, there's always something new to discover at Ancient City Brewing, including the new First and Gold Golden Ale. It's available all around Duval. Ancient City Brewing, taste history, make history, and please always drink responsibly.
Welcome back to Verizon Radio. Our next track will get you amped for our biggest deals of the season. It's called Red Hot Deal Days.
Choose your bundle for Red Hot Deal Days. Get a new phone, watch and tablet. Scream yippee-yi-yay, 'cause you can trade in your old phone for a bundle today.
Now that's a hot track for Red Hot Deal Days. Choose a new phone, smartwatch, and tablet along with tons more great deals. It's only until May 29th. Visit your Verizon store today. Eligible phone with select trade and an unlimited ultimate plan required and service plan required for watch or tablet. See Verizon.com for additional details.
Move the freight, move the freight. Magellan Transportation voted the coolest office space in Jacksonville. You can apply online at www.magellanlogistics.com. Welcome back to Jags AM here. That's a live look of OTAs underway. Number 4, we're going to have 10 of them and then mini camp after that. I know we talked a lot about, they're not physical, but this is a really important time to kind of get everybody on the same page, get everyone, speaking the same language, so to speak, especially when you have a new defensive coordinator coming in. We are going to talk specifically now a little bit about players we think are going to make a big jump. Obviously, we talked a ton about Josh Allen last year, who's playing on that contract year, trying to get himself a deal. He got himself a long-term deal, so he did exactly what he needed to do. But I think fair to say he's probably the Jaguar that made the biggest jump last season. And now we're going to talk a little bit about who we think will make a big jump this season. Brian, when you're looking at this roster expecting a player to make a big difference, who's someone you're looking at?
I think Travon Walker is the guy who's going to make the biggest difference, this biggest jump this year. In the last 4 games, he had 5 sacks. Not coincidence, Josh Allen had 4 sacks in those last 4 games and set the franchise record. Look, he's been, since the day he arrived, a really good player on the line of scrimmage, but he hadn't been that pass rusher. He wasn't a finisher. And that was really the word on him coming out of Georgia, was that he was not used as a pure pass rusher and didn't have the skill set, the combination of moves coming out of college. It would take some time. Well, end of the second year, we started to see that, particularly in the game against the Ravens here, where he would use the bull rush and drive the right tackle back, and he just reached into the pocket and pulled the quarterback to the ground. We saw pass rush against the Panthers too. So I think he has a huge jump coming in his third year. And in particular, I think because you've got Eric Armstead who's there, you have a healthy Devon Hamilton, you have a new defensive scheme, I think, that will work to his advantage. I'm excited for what I think he's going to be in his 3rd season.
Yeah, I agree that he's going to take a jump. I would counter that also by saying that even if he plays as he did last year, he's living up to it to me. And
yeah.
I know fans, there's always talk about Trayvon 1-2 pick and all that. If you get 10 sacks a year out of Travon Walker with everything else he brings, to me, people ask me all the time, who are the best players in this defense? It's Josh Allen and Travon Walker.
Well, let me be more specific. In training camp in Detroit last year at a TV pre-production meeting, Josh Allen said, my goal was to finish. That was what we didn't see early on from Travon Walker last year. He was always around the quarterback. He was pushing his way into the pocket, but he wasn't a finisher until the end of the season. Couple of things. Again, if you have a healthy Devon Hamilton and how they use Eric Armstead, pushing the pocket and forcing the quarterback to get outside, my guess is he's going to run towards 44 as opposed to 41. Just saying. And I don't know that a big jump means he's going to go from 10 sacks to 17.5. But in terms of big, I mean consistent finishing over the course of an entire season as opposed to all concentrated in one area of the season.
John, when you were looking at players that you felt like might make that jump, I know you were kind of talking about something similar to what the coaches were talking about and what they're expecting in the return of Ezra Cleveland.
Yeah, and I inserted Ezra Cleveland into this segment. I don't know that it's even fair to him to say that he's going to take a huge jump.
Sure.
Because I don't think he played bad last year. He came in 7 games. He was injured much of that. So we really didn't get a chance to see what he was. But I think I wanted to talk about him in terms of a guy who can raise the position more than the individual player. I think coaches believe that he is an upgrade over what they had. When you talk about, they've got a lot of questions this year. You didn't do enough to improve the offensive line. I think the presence of Ezra Cleveland is a guy that they think will be an upgrade in terms of being there the entire season. And if he makes that side of the line better along with Mitch Morse, to me, Brian, if that part of the line is better, if the interior part of the line is better, by definition, it raises the entire offense.
Well, we talked about bigger, right, and stronger. Although Tyler Shatley's one of the strongest players in the locker room, he's bigger, Cleveland, than, and you can see it right there. He is a big guy. He's got a lot more length in terms of the ability to keep defensive linemen from getting into his body and bull rushing him. Bigger, yeah. I mean, you look at him and Walker Little standing side by side. There's a tackle and a guard. So I think he's a guy that will significantly upgrade. Remember, he gets here from Minnesota. They plug him right into the starting lineup. Then he gets hurt. Then they move him outside to tackle. And John mentioned he played hurt the rest of the season. So you see a big, strong guy like that who's had the offseason to get ready for playing left guard, and you have to feel better about it, especially with the addition of Mitch Morse, who brings that veteran presence in the middle, who makes everyone's job easier. I think I think you're right. I think he's a guy who can take a big step forward in terms of the production of third down and short.
Yeah, and it just seems like when people talk about the line, it's almost like they gloss over that, and they feel like, well, he was here last year, so he was, quote, part of the problem, right? Well, the reason I wanted to discuss him, I don't think that's necessarily fair to him. And I think it may be something that people come back at the end of this season and say, oh, well, he was consistent. He was there the entire year. What a difference it is for that position from the coaching staff's point of view. If he's there for 17 games and a veteran, a 50-year guy, as opposed to a revolving door there, I think that is an area where you could see the offense as a whole improve. 4
starting guards on the left side last year. If he plays 17 games, that's a massive win.
Absolutely. Consistency and staying healthy are two things they're definitely focusing on, particularly with the offensive line. I'm talking about staying healthy for my person. I'm picking Tyson Campbell because I think that's someone we had our eye on last year. He was going up against Calvin Ridley in practice every week, taking on the number 1 wide receiver of the opposite team. And he dealt with a lot of injuries, right? It's a hamstring, and that kind of caters, and then you're trying to compensate. It was something that nagged with him all year, and that really limited him. With 6 games he missed last season, there wasn't a lot of consistency he was able to get. And there's a lot of talk in the offseason, they need a corner. If they can get Tyson Campbell to play up to what they think he's capable of, re-sign him after this season, that's the corner you need, right? So obviously there'll be a lot of focus on that group as a whole, what they're able to do. I think Tyson has the ability to really make a statement this season, and I'm hopeful that he'll be able to stay healthy and do that.
When you have one corner you can anchor on one side, it allows you to do so many different things with your coverage packages, whether it's nickel or dime or however you want to roll the coverage. But if you can count on Tyson Campbell to take the other team's number 1 receiver and be able to play with him most of the time, it gives you a world of flexibility. And they missed that last year when he popped the hamstring against the Colts. He really, I don't think he was ever the same the rest of the year.
Yeah, the graphic says missed 6 games, I think.
But he missed some with injury. He missed the chunk
It
of
felt
more
like
than
he
that.
missed
the rest
15.
of the season.
I mean, and he is a linchpin guy to me. The way that it played out last year, they didn't have a shutdown corner in the secondary. They had Darius Williams, who had some picks, also got beat in some plays that he would like to have had back. Tyson was probably, a 30, it didn't feel like they had an elite corner last year. If he plays to what he did last year, and there are people who think he'll fit better in this scheme than what he was trying to play before, if that's the case, that's a huge upgrade, because I said earlier, Travon and Josh Allen to me are the 2 best players in this defense.
Yeah.
Tyson's a guy who has flirted with being in that group. if he does more than flirt this year, all of a sudden they got 3 big-time players.
Well, it's a big year for him, too, because it's a contract
Yeah.
year, right? I mean, so he's got a chance to prove it and to make it if he gets it done this year. And anybody who knows him, you guys included, know he's one of those strong-minded guys. I mean, he really understands what it takes in terms of time on the field, time in the weight room, time in the film room. He puts in the work. Last year, the Jaguars should have been focused on getting a deal done for him this offseason, but they didn't have to be because of the injury. This should have been one of those things that Trent was trying to squeeze in and make it happen. Because of the injury, it didn't happen that way. I think this is I expect a lot from him this year.
The real positive for Tyson is that if he's healthy, the floor is very high.
Oh, yeah.
He's not going to be bad. It's just a matter of how good he can be.
Right.
Definitely an X factor for this team. Andre Sisco also in that contract year, so 2 of the defenders that we'll have our eyes on this year. Coming up, we'll have more of OTA practice. Doug Peterson got his eyes on everybody, and we'll go over some Ozone mailbag questions as well after the break.
And that's a Magellan first down.
Move the freight, move the freight, move the freight.
Would you like to control your own income? Work at Magellan Transport. Voted the coolest office space in Duval. Bring your talents and let your career flourish. Visit their website at MagellanLogistics.com and apply online. Trust service. Trust Magellan.
Jaguars fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com, the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and Jaguars players you love. Shop the most trusted brands, exclusive designs by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars. Join Fanatics Rewards today and earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and get today's special offer. Fanatics.com, officially licensed everything.
Mr. Chubby's Wings is a whole lot more than just wings. Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Swing by Mr. Chubby's and indulge in the biggest and best wings in town, all while soaking up the lively atmosphere with fellow sports fans. With plenty of game day specials and locations on the West Side, Fleming Island, Ponte Vedra Beach, and new this season, Everbank Stadium, they're here for all your game day needs. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game.
Jaguars fans, gear up at Fanatics.com with all the latest Jags styles. You can shop now and get today's special offer. Fanatics.com, officially licensed everything.
This broadcast is Ozone friendly.
The Ozone is back. We took a brief week away because we had Bucky on, so we asked Bucky a couple of questions. But now we're going back to John to get his infinite wisdom.
Finite.
We appreciate you.
Finite.
Always.
Finite, as they say.
Finite? Finite. Finite.
Infinite.
Fin. All knowing. Anyway, John is going to answer some of our questions. Our first question is about the International Pathway Program. So, how long can a team keep an international pathway player on their roster? The Jags were awarded Aye Oyalola in 2022, Patrick Murtaugh this year. Do teams eventually have to sign them to the 53 or the practice squad at some point?
Well, if they make the team, they can be on the team indefinitely. They can be like real live NFL players. They had a player, and I always mess up his name, Oyalola. He was here for 2 years. You can have one under that program, as I understand it, and then they signed Murtaugh this year. So
they're essentially a practice squad player. They
well,
the roster,
right? And they can extend the number on your practice squad from 16 to 17 if they are on the practice squad. So if they make the team, they can be on the team indefinitely, and
you can go sign another one.
And you can have one on the practice squad indefinitely as well. And there was something this year where they've expanded it where all teams can sort of automatically have one the entire season on the practice squad. Before it wasn't as wide open. And I haven't researched it much more than that, but that's my understanding.
And look, the NFL's goal is to expand internationally. They're playing in Sao Paulo, Brazil. They're talking Madrid and Paris. And in order really to expand, they need to have some players from some of these countries. They need to have the game played in some of these countries to a greater level. So they're pushing this program.
And Murtaugh, by the way, I don't know how developed he is as an NFL player, but he looks the part.
Oh, yeah,
and
he does.
You can easily see how a team could say, hey, it's worth our time investing in this to see where it goes, because he's impressive.
Well, it's the left tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles, Jordan Melita, is a former rugby player, which is amazing how big he is, right? You can find these guys if you just are willing to take the time to develop them.
And that's a lot of what it is. Obviously, American football not huge in other countries necessarily, so if you can take athletic players and teach them American football, a lot of talent that can be utilized there. Our second Ozone Mailbag question is about the Stadium of the Future. Ozone, I read the Stadium of the Future is going to have synthetic turf. Please say it ain't so. Other than the whole growing grass inside deal, why would you go away from grass?
Well, that's the report, and Brian, you may know more about this than I do. I haven't researched this a whole lot. My understanding from the reports is that they're going to go turf synthetic. Inside may have something to do with it. I'm going to find out more.
I don't know that much more about it. I do know that there's a push around the league to have a consistent surface, right? To have the same surface everywhere. You obviously can't have natural grass everywhere. It doesn't grow in certain places at certain times of the year, and we can't play it indoors in certain times of the year. I hadn't heard that they were going to the synthetic, but I do know that there's a push in some circles in the league to have everybody have the same turf. And of course, they want it to be the good stuff. They want to have this thing scientifically engineered to be better for players and their bodies. But I don't know any more than that.
There's a possibility for the hybrid stuff, I think, as well. I know Green Bay has that, real grass sewn in with the synthetic grass that doesn't get pulled up as much.
Grows through a framework.
Yeah, some of the players are fans of that kind of dynamic, so maybe something like that we'll see, because I know the stadium isn't fully closed, the new Stadium of the Future. There will be some breezeway in there. So.
Well, there's a tray in Phoenix, and the tray slides out with the entire field. And in Houston, they used to have a tray system where they just lift trays out and take them outside. And maybe they can do something like that.
We'll keep an eye on those things. Obviously, that's all developing as the stadium pitch rolls along. Our final Ozone question of the day is about some of those new defensive players on this roster. Gabe from Washington, D.C. says, haven't seen many people commenting on the new defensive free agents that were just added. Are they camp bodies, or do they have a decent chance to make the final roster? Does that bode poorly for guys like Monteric Brown, Greg Jr., Christian Braswell?
Well, I don't think it necessarily bodes poorly. I think when you're bringing in a new system, when you get to this time of year, which is after the draft and after collegiate free agency, you get into rookie camp, you get into OTAs, you take one final look at your roster, not a final, but you take a fresh look at the roster, and you say, okay, we like these young guys. We also want to have an option. Coaches don't love often always just having a second-year guy available. So you want to make sure that you have some fifth year, sixth year as an option there and see how it works. So I'm not going to call anybody on these lists a camp body, but they're creating competition. And you also go out, and when you bring in a new scheme and you bring in a new defensive back scheme or a secondary scheme, you bring in guys who fit that. You may not have that level of guy on the roster. When I say level, I mean veteran experience. You may not already have somebody who fits the scheme on your roster when you're changing schemes.
In particular, Monteric Brown and Greg Jr., 6th and 7th round picks, those guys generally sign 3-year deals. They're coming into the final year of their deal. And if you're going to go forward with them, you need to find out right now whether they're the guy or not. Or you need to have other guys in the pipeline that you're developing so that if you're not going to pay these guys are ready to step in. You're always going to have some of those developmental guys at the bottom of your roster that you're trying to fix, and especially if we're going to see a contract for Trevor Lawrence here, those guys become critical because they play at a fixed number or they play at a lower number that you can manage on your roster.
A Trevor Lawrence contract is always something that we are thinking about, whether it's this week or the coming weeks. That's something that we imagine will get done very soon. Stay with us here on Jags AM as we preview what we're going to be looking at OTAs today.
Is
celebrating 30 years of Jags football by becoming the proud craft beer partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And what better way to celebrate a throwback year than to throw back some of our expertly crafted beers? From Augustine's Orange Amber Ale to our Castillo Coconut Porter, there's always something new to discover at Ancient City Brewing, including the new First and Gold Golden Ale. It's available all around Duval. Ancient City Brewing, taste history, make history, and please always drink responsibly.
Welcome back to Verizon Radio. Our next track will get you amped for our biggest deals of the season. It's called Red Hot Deal Days.
Choose your bundle for Red Hot Deal Days. Get a new phone, watch and tablet. Scream yippee-yi-yay, 'cause you can trade in your old phone for a bundle today.
Now that's a hot track for Red Hot Deal Days. Choose a new phone, smartwatch, and tablet along with tons more great deals. It's only until May 29th. Visit your Verizon store today. Eligible phone with select trade-in and unlimited ultimate plan required and service plan required for watch or tablet. See Verizon.com for additional details.
The Jaguars bring performance, strength, and passion to every play. And you'll find the same when you bank with EverBank. Open an EverBank performance savings account and score serious savings. See what you could earn at everbank.com/Jaguars. EverBank, advantage you. Member FDIC and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Have to be explosive in this league. You know, it's tough enough being consistently efficient. We want to be able to have that explosive element to us. Brian's length and speed is a big thing. That was obviously a strength of his throughout his college career with the numbers and all that, and then something Gabe has always brought. And you're not going to be a super high pass completion percentage if you're pushing the ball way down the field. And that's something we feel like we've done a good job when we've called the play action stuff. We've been particularly explosive when you look at our numbers in terms of concepts that we've called and opportunities to push the ball. We've done a good job with that. But we do feel like we have the people that we're able to push the ball down the field. We just got to be able to get the opportunities to do that, and we got to call those types of plays throughout the course of games.
Offensive coordinator Press Taylor talking about this offense being more explosive, more vertical. Does just Brian Thomas alone give them that option, or do you think as a whole everybody staying healthy will be a big part of that, John?
Well, I think the biggest thing with that, and he alluded to it a little bit, I think they're fine in terms of threats. If they get better on the offensive front and run more consistently when they want to run, they will, get more opportunities because they'll be on the field more. Yep. You convert third downs, all of a sudden that starts drawing the defense up and you get more opportunities to go deep. I think last year, honestly, in the last 8 or 9 games of last year, if I'm playing against this team, I'm not going to commit my defense overly to stop short yardage because I know I can stop it, and therefore I'm not going to give up a whole lot over the top. So I think just getting better on the interior offensive line will help everything, including the deep passing game.
I can't add anything to that other than, I've been hammering on the offensive line, in particular the interior, all off season because 3rd down and 2 was such a weak spot for this team last year and gave no threat of play action. When you've got a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence, the play action, that's everything to get those one-on-one matchups down the field. So they've got to be better there. And, my sense is with Cleveland and Morse, and if Sheriff can stay healthy, I think it's important to be fair to him. He injured his ankle last year on opening day in Indianapolis and didn't miss time. He kept playing. How many times did he go down with the ankle during games last year because it was bothering him, and he kept playing? If he's healthy, if he can stay healthy, he's as important as Morse or Cleveland.
Complementary football, there's a reason we always say it. Yep. We'll keep an eye on things at OTAs this week, and of course we'll check in again with you at OTAs as they wrap up next week. Thank you as always. We'll see you next week on Jags AM.